When you think about relationships, connections, or even the pursuit of someone you're drawn to, you must begin to see energy for what it really is. Energy is not some abstract concept that sits in the background of your life. It is the very currency of existence. Every action you take, every thought you dwell upon, every conversation you have requires an investment of energy. Just like money, you only have so much to spend in a day, in a week, in a lifetime. And what most people fail to realize is that when they pour their energy into a person who is not interested, they are essentially making an investment with no return. Imagine working day and night, giving away your paycheck, but never receiving food, shelter, or security in return. No rational individual would continue that cycle. Yet, in matters of the heart, many people willingly spend their emotional and spiritual wealth on someone who has no intention of giving back. And that is the fastest way to bank up yourself of self-worth and inner strength. Every time you reach out and she doesn't respond, every time you try to prove your value to her while she gives you silence, you are pouring from a cup that is already draining. It's not about her being cruel. It's about you not recognizing the value of what you're offering. Love, care, attention, presence. These are sacred forms of energy. They are not disposable. They are not meant to be wasted in the hope that someone might one day notice you. They are meant to be shared where they are respected, nurtured, and reciprocated. The great tragedy is not that she isn't interested. The tragedy is that you keep trying to convince yourself to stay when your spirit already knows you need to walk away. If you want to change the trajectory of your life, you must start treating your energy like the rare currency it is. Ask yourself, where am I placing my energy that gives me nothing in return? Because wherever you put it, you are either growing or depleting yourself. When you give to a person who does not value you, you are not just losing moments, you are losing opportunities to invest in yourself, in your growth, in the people who are aligned with you. Think of it this way. When you're focused on trying to win over someone who clearly doesn't care, you're unavailable for the person who would. Life cannot give you what you deserve while you are clinging to what does not serve you. Energy is not neutral. It creates ripples. When you misuse it, you send a message to yourself that your energy isn't valuable. You teach your subconscious mind to normalize the experience of giving everything and receiving nothing. And what happens when you do that? You lower your standards. You begin to believe that this is just how relationships are supposed to be. You start accepting crumbs when you were meant to feast. That's why it's so dangerous to stay in spaces where your energy is wasted. It conditions your spirit to live in lack instead of abundance. The truth is, energy flows where attention goes. If you put your attention on someone who doesn't reciprocate, your energy drains into emptiness. But if you redirect that same attention toward yourself, you begin to build power, self-care, self-growth, personal development, your goals, your passions. These are the banks that yield infinite returns. Every ounce of energy you spend on yourself compounds. It builds confidence. It creates clarity. It elevates your vibration to such a degree that you naturally begin attracting people and opportunities aligned with your value. That is the law of energy. It multiplies wherever it is placed with intention. Consider how differently your life would look if you stopped pouring energy into someone who clearly showed no interest. Imagine reclaiming that time, that effort, that mental space. Imagine what happens when you redirect into building your career, strengthening your health, expanding your knowledge, and becoming the best version of yourself. The very moment you stop feeding the emptiness, you give life a chance to redirect you toward fulfillment. This is why walking away isn't just an emotional decision. It is a financial decision of the soul. You are cutting off a bad investment before it destroys your wealth of spirit. The most powerful individuals in life are those who understand that energy is sacred and they do not waste it on people, places, or things that do not value it. When she is not interested, she is telling you without words, do not invest here. It's not rejection of you as a human being. It's simply a signpost pointing you back to yourself. The ego doesn't like this because the ego wants validation. But the soul knows this truth. Your energy must always be placed where it grows, not where it dies. So reflect deeply how much have you spent trying to buy affection with your attention. How much have you wasted hoping for love in return while neglecting the most important relationship, the one with yourself? When you begin to truly see your energy as a currency, you stop chasing what isn't yours and start building what is. You stop waiting for someone to notice you and begin noticing yourself. You stop pouring into an empty vessel and begin filling your own. This shift is not just emotional. It is transformational. It is the difference between living a life of scarcity and stepping into a life of abundance. Rejection has a way of cutting deep, especially when it comes from someone you've poured your heart, your time, and your attention into. It feels like a door slams shut in your face, and in that moment it can be difficult to see beyond the sting. Yet what most people never realize is that rejection is never the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new direction. It is life's way of steering you away from something that would never have served your highest good and guiding you towards something that will. When she is not interested in you, when her actions or words make it clear that she doesn't see the same way, you are not being punished. You are being redirected. You are being protected from wasting years of your life on someone who could never fully align with your journey, your vision, or your soul. Think about it this way. When you're driving and you see a roadblock, you don't park your car in front of it forever. You don't spend your day staring at the sign that says, do not enter. hoping that one day it will flip to welcome in. You accept the detour. You turn the wheel and you find another road. Life operates in the same way. That rejection is a detour, and detours are never accidents. They are divine guidance. They are telling you that what lies ahead on that path is not for you. And while you may not see the reason in the moment, years down the road, you'll look back and recognize that it was one of the greatest blessings disguised as disappointment. When you chase after someone who is not interested, you are resisting life's natural redirection. You're essentially telling the universe, I know better than you. I want what I want, even if it's not for me. And that resistance creates suffering. You get stuck replaying conversations, overanalyzing text messages, wondering if you could have done something differently. That mental loop is not clarity, it's captivity. The truth is, if it was meant for you, it would not require this much convincing. What is meant for you will flow with ease, not force. Rejection, then, is not life closing the door on love. It is life opening the door to the right love, the right opportunities, so the right alignment. So often people view rejection as a reflection of their inadequacy. They think, if she doesn't want me, it must mean I'm not good enough. But that is a distorted perception. Rejection is not a mirror of your worth. It's simply an indicator that this particular person is not your match. It does not reduce your value. It does not define your identity. And it certainly does not decide your future. It only redirects your energy away from a place that was never going to nurture you. Your worth remains intact, untouched, and unshaken. The real danger is not in being rejected. It is in ignoring the redirection. If you continue to pursue someone who clearly does not share your interests, you trap yourself in a cycle of chasing what will never fulfill you. That's how years slip away. That's how men lose their confidence, their vision, and their fire. They keep knocking on a locked door, hoping persistence will make it open, when all along there's another door waiting with opportunities, love, and peace on the other side. Walking away from rejection is not giving up. It's stepping into alignment with where you're supposed to be. Rejection is also a filter. It filters out the people who are not capable of meeting you where you are, of reciprocating what you bring, of valuing who you truly are. That is a gift because it saves you from wasting the most precious resources you have, time and energy. Would you rather discover now that she is not interested, or spend years in a one-sided connection where your needs, your dreams, and your heart are never honored? The sooner rejection shows up, the sooner you can redirect your focus to what genuinely belongs in your life. It's also important to see that rejection strengthens resilience. Every time you face a closed door and choose to walk away instead of banging on it, you build inner strength. You develop the ability to trust life's timing and life's wisdom. That's how you become unshakable, by realizing that not everything you desire is meant for you. And that is not a tragedy, it's protection. It means something greater is ahead and you're being positioned for it. There are countless stories of people who thought they lost everything when they were rejected, whether in love, in business, or in friendships, only to later discover that the loss was actually the turning point that led them to their greatest blessings. Think of the relationships you once wanted so badly that you now thank life for ending. Think of the opportunities you cried over losing, only to see that they would have held you back. In the same way, this rejection is not here to destroy you. It's here to liberate you. When she is not interested, the worst thing you can do is make it personal. It's not about your value, it's about alignment. And alignment is the key to everything. What aligns will stay, what is not will go. Rejection is the universe clearing space, preparing you for what's next, ensuring that you do not settle for less than you were created for. You may not understand the timing right now, but if you can accept the rejection and walk away, you allow the redirection to unfold. Self-respect is not just an attitude you carry. It is the foundation of how you live your life, how you relate to others, and how others relate to you. It is the invisible standard that silently communicates your value without you needing to utter a single word. When you stay in a situation where someone has clearly shown that they are not interested in you, you silently send a message to yourself and to the world that your needs do not matter, that your worth is negotiable, that you are willing to settle for less than what you truly deserve. That is where the damage begins. Not from the rejection itself, but from the way you respond to it. When you choose to stay hoping for scraps of attention, you are lowering the standard of your own life. But when you choose to walk away, you are making a profound declaration that says, I respect myself and not to remain where I am not valued. That is not weakness. That is strength. That is not arrogance. That is alignment with the truth of your own worth. The way you treat yourself sets the template for how the world treats you. If you constantly give yourself away in places where you are disregarded, ignored, or dismissed, you begin to condition your mind and spirit to accept that treatment as normal. You start convincing yourself that maybe this is what love looks like. Maybe this is how relationships work. Maybe this is the best you can get. And little by little, you erode the very core of your identity. You begin to forget that you were born worthy, that you were never meant to beg for love or chase after recognition. Self-respect restores that truth. It reminds you that your presence is valuable, that your energy is rare, that your love is a gift. And gifts are never meant to be thrown at those who cannot see their worth. Every time you choose self-respect, you elevate your frequency. You become magnetic. People can feel it when you hold yourself to a higher standard. They see it in your posture, in your words, in the way you walk into a room. Respect is not about being loud or demanding. It is about quiet certainty. It is the calm assurance that you will not compromise your dignity for temporary attention. It is the inner strength that allows you to walk away, not out of anger, but out of clarity. That kind of self-respect draws in relationships that reflect your value because you no longer tolerate anything less. The truth is, when you stay where you are not wanted, you shrink, you silence parts of yourself. You bend and twist trying to fit into a mold that was never designed for you. You abandon your own joy just to remain close to someone who doesn't see you. And while you may think that's a sacrifice for love, it is actually a betrayal of yourself. Self-respect teaches you that the greatest betrayal is not when someone rejects you. It is when you reject yourself by staying where you don't belong. Walking away restores that balance. It sends a message to your subconscious mind that you are worthy of more. And once you internalize that belief, your external reality begins to shift to match it. Consider the people you admire most. They are not those who beg to be accepted. They are those who stand tall in their authenticity. Those who know what they bring to the table and refuse to lower their value for anyone. That is the essence of self-respect. It does not beg. It does not chase. It does not plead. It recognizes love built on anything less than mutual value is not love at all. It is dependency. It is illusion. True love flourishes only when both individuals respect themselves and each other. Without self-respect, you cannot even experience genuine connection because you are constantly negotiating your worth. And here is the reality. When you raise your level of self-respect, some people will fall away. They will no longer be able to access you because your standards will not allow it. And that is not a loss. It is a cleansing. It is life-making space for those who are capable of meeting you at your true value. Every goodbye you face on the path of self-respect is actually an opening, a doorway to something more aligned, more authentic, more fulfilling. The people who remain are those who can truly see you, honor you, and walk with you without diminishing who you are. Walking away when she is not interested is not about pride. It is about preservation. It is about preserving your dignity, your confidence, your energy, and your future. It is about refusing to dilute yourself just to be tolerated by someone who does not appreciate you. It is about honoring the sacredness of your own heart, acknowledging that your time, your presence, and your love are too precious to be wasted on those who cannot or will not reciprocate. That act of self-respect becomes a turning point. It is the moment you reclaim your power. It is the moment you stop waiting for someone else to validate you and begin validating yourself. It is the moment you stop existing on borrowed attention and start living in the fullness of your own worth. Attachment is one of the greatest traps we fall into, especially in relationships. When you hold on to someone who is clearly not interested in you, what you are truly holding on to is not the person themselves, but the idea of them, the fantasy, the illusion, the potential you created in your mind. You build entire stories of what could be. You replay moments of hope, and you attach yourself not to reality, but to a dream. This kind of attachment becomes a chain, binding you to scarcity because it convinces you that this one person is your only chance, your only option, your only path to fulfillment. And when you believe that, you unconsciously block the abundance that is waiting for you. Attachment is rooted in fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear of not finding anyone better. These fears whisper to you that if you let go, you will lose everything. But the truth is, when you let go, you are not losing, you are making space. You cannot receive what is meant for you if your hands are still clinging to what isn't. Imagine trying to catch water while holding a stone tightly in your fist. The water slips through your fingers because your grip on the stone leaves no room for anything new. That is exactly what happens when you remain attached to someone who is not aligned with you. You block your blessings by refusing to release what was never yours to begin with. When you are attached, you give your power away. You start compromising your standards, silencing your needs, ignoring the signs that this person has no genuine interest. You convince yourself that if you just try harder, wait longer, or prove yourself more, maybe things will change. That is not love. That is desperation disguised as loyalty. And the longer you stay in that state, the more you drain your energy. You pour into someone who cannot and will not pour back. And eventually you find yourself running on empty. Attachment doesn't nurture your spirit. It depletes it. It traps you in a cycle of lack where you are constantly chasing what you do not have instead of recognizing the abundance available to you once you let go. Letting go of attachment is not easy because the mind likes certainty. Even if the certainty is painful, the mind prefers it over the unknown. That is why people cling to unhealthy connections. They would rather stay in a familiar emptiness than face the fear of open space. But open space is exactly where transformation happens. It is in the letting go that new doors begin to open. It is in the emptiness that new possibilities take root. By releasing the attachment to someone who's not interested, you create room for relationships that are mutual, for opportunities that align with your worth, for experiences that bring you peace instead of confusion. Attachment also blinds you to reality. You begin to ignore red flags, overlook signs of disinterest, and create excuses for behavior that clearly shows she is not invested. You tell yourself stories like, she's just busy, or she'll come around eventually. Even when the truth is staring you in the face, This blindness keeps you locked in illusion, and illusions always lead to disappointment. By breaking the attachment, you regain your clarity. You begin to see things as they are, not as you wish them to be. And clarity is power, because once you see clearly, you can choose differently. Another truth about attachment is that it diminishes your sense of self. When all of your energy is tied to whether or not one person accepts you, your identity begins to revolve around them. You measure your worth by their interests, your happiness by their attention, your peace by their presence. That dependency strips you of your autonomy and leaves you vulnerable to constant disappointment. The moment you detach, you begin to rebuild yourself. You reclaim your independence, your sense of value, your inner stability. You no longer live at the mercy of someone else's choices. You live from your own center. Life was never designed to be limited to one source of love, one path, one outcome. The universe is abundant, overflowing with opportunities, connections, and experiences that are waiting to meet you once you align yourself with them. But attachment narrows your vision. It makes you believe that there is only one way, one person, one chance. That scarcity mindset keeps you trapped in suffering because you cannot see beyond the closed door. The moment you release, your perspective widens. You begin to recognize that love is not scarce. It is abundant. Opportunities are not rare. They are endless. Fulfillment does not come from clinging. It comes from opening. Walking away from attachment is an act of trust. It is trusting that what is truly for you will never pass you by. It is trusting that you are worthy enough to receive more than breadcrumbs. It is trusting that life does not take away without giving back something greater. And while that trust may feel shaky at first, the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. You start to realize that letting go is not about loss. It is about alignment. It is about stepping out of scarcity and into abundance. The way people treat you is rarely accidental. It is a reflection of the standards you set and the boundaries you enforce. Every interaction becomes a silent negotiation of worth, and whether you realize it or not, you are constantly teaching others how to treat you. If you accept being ignored, disrespected, or treated as an afterthought, then that becomes the level at which they engage with you. If you show up consistently for someone who never shows up for you, you communicate that your presence requires no reciprocity, no investing, no effort in return. Over time, people come to believe that this is acceptable because you allowed it to be acceptable. On the other hand, when you walk away from those who do not value you, you send a completely different message that your time, your energy, and your heart are not free from misuse. You teach them, and more importantly, you teach yourself that you are not someone who can be taken for granted. This principle applies everywhere in life, but becomes most visible in relationships. If she is not interested in you, yet you continue to pursue her, you are teaching her that your standards are low, that you are willing to settle for indifference, that you will chase no matter how little she gives. That is not love, that is self-abandonment. The more you persist, the more you confirm to her that she can offer nothing and still keep your attention. It is not her fault for living up to the standard you've shown her. It is your responsibility to raise that standard by choosing yourself instead of choosing her lack of interest. When you finally decide to walk away, something remarkable happens. You reclaim your power. You reclaim the narrative of how you deserve to be treated. It is no longer in her hands, it is in yours. That single decision becomes a declaration that says, I will no longer participate in dynamics where I am undervalued. This declaration not only changes how she perceives you, but it also reshapes how you perceive yourself. You begin to realize that you don't have to beg for love, that you don't have to fight for attention, that your worth is inherent and non-negotiable. Walking away is not just an action. It is a recalibration of identity. The truth is that relationships mirror back to you the lessons you most need to learn. If you consistently attract people who do not invest in you, it is because you have not yet taught yourself that you are worthy of better. Once you shift that inner lesson, your outer world shifts too. You stop entertaining half-hearted interest, you stop tolerating disrespect, and you stop accepting behavior that falls below your value. You draw a line that says, this is the minimum standard, and anything less does not belong in my life. People quickly adapt to the boundaries you enforce. If you hold your standard, those who truly value you will rise to meet it. And those who don't will fall away. Either outcome is a victory, because both outcomes preserve your dignity. Think about it. When you carry yourself with self-respect and firm standards, people notice. They may not always say it, but they feel it. They sense that you are not someone who can be manipulated, toyed with, or used. They sense that being in your presence requires responsibility. That energy alone changes the quality of connections you attract. Instead of chasing attention, you begin attracting respect. Instead of proving your worth, you embody it. And in doing so, you not only teach others how to treat you, you also become a model for others who are struggling to recognize their own worth. But the most crucial aspect is not how others respond. It is what happens within you. By refusing to accept less than you deserve, you are programming your subconscious mind with a new identity. You are teaching yourself day by day that you matter, that you are valuable, that your love and presence are not things to be wasted on disinterest. This inner shift ripples out of every area of your life. You start making better choices, not just in relationships, but in friendships, in business, in how you take care of your body and mind. You stop settling in one area, and naturally you stop settling in others. Walking away from someone who does not care for you is often the catalyst that teaches you how to never again compromise in any part of your life. It is important to remember that standards are not walls meant to keep people out. They are filters meant to let the right ones in. By holding to your standard, you are not being harsh or unforgiving. You are being clear. You are saying to the world, this is what love looks like. This is what respect looks like. This is how I deserve to be treated. Those who are capable of meeting that energy will recognize it and respond with the same clarity. Those who are not capable will drift away. And that is how you create space for alignment. It is not about controlling others. It is about controlling what you allow. In the end, every time you walk away from someone who is not interested, you raise the bar for what you will accept in the future. You rewire your heart to believe that love must be mutual, that respect must be present, that value must be recognized. And once you anchor that belief within yourself, you will find that the relationships you attract begin to reflect it back to you. You will no longer have to teach through suffering. You will teach through example, through the quiet strength of your standards, through the unshakable presence of your self-respect. Walking away is so often misunderstood. People hear the phrase and immediately associate it with weakness, with quitting, with giving up too soon. But the truth is the opposite. Walking away is one of the most powerful choices you can ever make because it is not about losing. It is about choosing. It is about choosing your peace over conflict, choosing your clarity over confusion, choosing your future over a situation that is holding you back. When she is not interested and you keep forcing yourself to stay, you are not preserving love. You are sacrificing yourself. Walking away is not abandonment. It is alignment. It is aligning your life with people, circumstances, and opportunities that are meant for you instead of wasting your time on ones that clearly are not. When you choose to walk away, you are exercising a higher level of awareness. You are acknowledging reality instead of denying it. It takes maturity to say, this situation does not serve, and I will not stay in it just because I am afraid of change. Anyone can cling. Anyone can hold on to what is comfortable, even when it is painful. But it takes strength to let go. It takes wisdom to see that forcing a connection with someone who does not want you only leads to deeper frustration and emptiness. Walking away is the mark of someone who understands that their time is valuable, that their energy is sacred, and that their heart deserves to be honored. There is a quiet dignity in choosing to leave when you realize you are not wanted. That dignity cannot be replaced by temporary attention or half-hearted affection. The moment you walk away, you send a message to yourself and to the world that you will not tolerate being a second option, a backup plan, or a placeholder. You are not choosing loneliness. You are choosing authenticity. You are choosing to step into the unknown rather than stay trapped in a false sense of security. That is courage. That is power. That is self-love in action. Walking away also frees you from the exhausting cycle of trying to prove your worth. When you stay in a situation where someone is not interested, every interaction becomes a performance. You feel like you need to convince them, show them, remind them of your value. But your value is not something to be proven. It simply is. The right person will see it without persuasion by leaving you in the performance. You stop trying to earn love that should flow naturally. You return to yourself, to your truth, to the reality that your worth is not dependent on whether someone else recognizes it. Another powerful aspect of walking away is that it creates space. Space is uncomfortable at first because it feels like emptiness. But in reality, it is the fertile ground for new beginnings. As long as you are clinging to the wrong person, your hands are full, your heart is occupied, and your energy is drained. Nothing new can enter because you have no room to receive it. But the moment you release, the moment you create space by walking away, you invite new opportunities to come forward. You invite the right people to find you. You open the door of love that's real, mutual, and nourishing instead of one-sided and draining. Many people mistake endurance for strength. But real strength is knowing when to endure and when to exit. Staying in a relationship where there is no interest is not resilience. It is self-neglect. Walking away is not about failing. It is about choosing wisely. It is recognizing that your path cannot unfold fully while you are stuck in situations that diminish you. Every step you take away from what is wrong brings you closer to what is right. That choice is not a loss. It is liberation. When you walk away, you also set a new standard for yourself. You prove to yourself that you will no longer settle for less than what you truly deserve. That decision changes you on a deep level. It shifts how you carry yourself, how you see yourself, and how you approach life. You no longer beg for love. You no longer chase for validation. You no longer compromise your values just to be accepted. Instead, you stand firm in your truth, knowing that walking away from what is not meant for you always brings you closer to what is. And while others may not understand your decision, you will feel the shift inside you, that sense of inner peace, that sense of alignment. That sense of freedom comes not from holding on, but from letting go. Walking away does not close your life. It opens it. It opens your future. It opens your heart. It opens your potential. It is not the end of the road. It is a new beginning, one built on the foundation of respect, clarity, and choice.